Fritz Mueller in steamy Miami. David James welcoming us back.
Yay.
Gordon Smith, good evening from beautiful Denmark. Christopher and Jane Gillingham in Leamington in the UK. John Hanfield, happy Tuesday. Ed Worley, cheers everyone. Thank you, all of you. Rick Bannero, where he says in Connecticut it is gray, but warm.
And warm, though.
We are through the starting line. Just welcome. Good afternoon from San Francisco on our show number 709 for Tuesday, the 14th of May. Yes, you did hear Julia.
Yes.
Back in the saddle again. We are indeed. I trust you're well, you're recovered, testing negative.
Yes, all that, and I'm really glad to be back. I missed you all.
We are glad to have you back. Of course, Julia is the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. She is my co-host, as always, and we're live again from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. Clark Chapin checking in from sunny Plymouth, Michigan. Pre-1958, home of the Daisy. You'll shoot your eye out. Okay. Who else is on here? David Leahy. Hello from Kenya. Fireball, Laser, and Optus Nationals in Kenya happening soon as our little, fairly new intro has wrapped up, courtesy of the 12-meter class, the 12-meter Yacht Club, Gary Jobson. We appreciate very much that footage and the little audio that Meg picked out. Joe Holtzman checking in from Estes Park in Colorado. Philip laughing. Good Tuesday, hazy, hot, and humid Davis Island in Florida, Tampa, Florida. Welcome back, Julia.
Yes, and thank you all for your comments, but I really did miss you.
We missed having you. It's a lot easier doing these shows with you than without you. We put the downstream keyer on. See the little bug in the lower right-hand corner?
Yes.
We didn't do the checklist, so I didn't know that was on. Nice intro, Ed Worley is saying. David James, when were the first counterclockwise winches? Probably here in San Francisco Bay, weren't they, on Bolero and those big boats, David? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe in the America's Cup. Could have been in the Cup today. Julia, Clark Chapin loves today's scarf.
Oh, good. Was made by a good European friend.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That may be TMI, too much information. We don't need to go into that. Let's get into wishing those of you who did celebrate it on Sunday a belated Happy Mother's Day. We talked about this a fair bit at the end of the show on Friday, and it is celebrated on different dates around the world. And that was the discussion, even as we were going off the air. It is, however, in New Zealand, Canada, the U.S., Australia, Mother's Day falls on the second Sunday of the month of May, cada año, each year. And look at that. How you like that background on that slide? That's new.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought that was good
for
something other than sailing or history, where we use gray for history and blue for sailing. Over the years, other countries have adopted Mother's Day, each offering its own unique take, some perhaps closer to the celebration that this gal Jarvis, who envisioned it back in the early 1900s, in this country at least. Some countries celebrate on different dates, and others in May. Mexico celebrates May 10, Thailand August 12, Peru the second Sunday of May, and France typically the last Sunday in May, while the UK celebrates on the last Sunday of Lent.
Uh-huh.
We talked about that a bit on Friday, which varies, of course, each year. Regardless, there's everything from mariachi serenades to visits to the local church to traditional meals made to honor the family matriarch. No matter how the festivities may look, the intention is the same: to share an appreciation for the women at the center of the family. And Julia, you're the woman at the center of our family. You're not exactly our mother,
Well, I'm close.
but you are at the center of the Foley. In fact, I was asked by Claire Harrington, the vice commodore of
Yeah.
New York Yacht Club, with whom we become regular communicants. It's
Oh,
been
that's
fun.
good. Yes.
Claire,
She-
the esteemed.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get through the show without coughing my way through it, as I did. Excuse me, I'll hear that through your mic, as I did on Friday.
Yeah.
And she said, I never really understood what FOSI stands for.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure we've ever articulated that
Oh, we do.
in so few words.
Oh, I think we have, but we do it so sporadically that any new listener has no idea.
I was thinking we should do sometime we'll have a FOSI poll or a FOSI something.
Yeah.
Where we'll go through all the abbreviations that we use not only on this show but in our sport, our beloved sport.
Yeah.
Like FOSI, like RIB, which you'll hear John Emmett using
Right.
again today in his report.
Yeah.
And let's see what the FOSI means. Well, they can put it in the comments. As the comments are rolling in here, Gordon Smith, however, Mothering Sunday is an entirely different event. It is the date on which one returns to one's mother church to celebrate one's faith. How nice.
Okay.
Jonathan Frank checking in, our esteemed airline pilot, Renaissance man, 777 pilot for United Airlines. Greetings from Galveston. Oh, Galveston. You guys look wonderful. I feel good.
Yeah.
I wore my green shirt in honor of not only Stingray's favorite painting there behind me,
Yes.
the green that's in that painting, but when I saw you'd come down here, when you came down at noon in magenta,
Magenta.
I had to be in something other than blue and white. Counter-rotating wenches, Rick Banner was asking, must be an Antipodean woman.
Only by aspiration.
Tier DeYoung is checking in from SoCal. Tier, the Stingray replying to David James before clocks, of course, there. Backwards and one. Okay, back. Julia is all of our second mom. That's nice.
Oh, good. Oh, nice.
John Hanfield. How
I
nice.
accept.
Do you accept?
I accept.
What else? Gordon Smith replying to Jody, my mother said that gin was responsible. Back in the saddle again, Peter Taylor in New York. GUST. Here, there's an acronym. Georgetown University Sailing Team. Best acronym in collegiate sailing. That's a good one, Rick. That is really overuse of acronyms, the best way to confuse anybody. Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll try not to do that, but we want to just celebrate Mothering Day and Mother's Day, which was on Sunday. And my late great mother, it was the first. You read about this with friends and family who are missing their mother on their first Mother's Day without her, as I did. I thought about her all last week going into Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And,
I did too.
you did too. That was kind of you to send a text to me on Sunday about that. Speaking of Friday's show, I did not know this gentleman's name. I loved the shot, the photo, and put it up, and I knew he was from the BVI. And his name is Thad Letsom from the BVI. He has qualified for the Olympics through the special solidarity program, or actually it's called universality program. And I want to thank, again, Jonathan Shore, who's sailing his shields here in Newport, Rhode Island in this shot, which I also ran on Friday's show. But our FOSI, speaking of FOSI, Jonathan Shore, sent through his name and these slides.
Oh, isn't that fun?
And he has qualified, and he's very excited about it.
Yeah.
The BVI, British Virgin Islands, obviously, Olympic Committee. And you can see on his sail what the Olympic code is for the BVI. It's IVB. Virgin Islands, UK, ILCA 7 laser sailor Thad Letsom secures spot at Paris 2024 Olympic Games to become the first BVI sailor at an Olympic Games since '96. The BVI Olympic Committee received and accepted an official invitation from the Tripartite Commission. Sounds impressive, sounds important. In collaboration with World Sailing, it's an Olympic body, for the allocation of a universality place at the Paris 2024 Summer Olympic Games to BVI's ILCA 7 sailor Thad Letsom. 22 years old, Letsom becomes the first BVI sailor to compete in Olympic Games since '96, when two-time Olympian Robbie Hirst, remember Robbie, competed in the laser event at the Atlanta Games.
Oh, I just love it. He's so full of excitement.
Exactly.
It's such a great picture.
And I think it's a good program. I mean, this is a program that is putting people who haven't otherwise qualified. They save out a few slots in the various classes. And my chair is squeaking here. I better lock it so it doesn't squeak so much. People think that we are cretonic.
Well, it's our old age.
Squeakily, you think it's me probably, not the chair. I like this program. It saves out a few spots, and they give it out. Okay, it's a DEI program to a degree, but you know what? A little DEI can go a long way sometimes.
Absolutely.
A little bit.
Absolutely.
A little bit. Yeah. Now, Lust, Leland Stanford University team.
Yes.
Okay, David James, who, of course, like you, Julia, went to Stanford.
Yes. With lust.
With Lust? Were you lusty at Stanford?
I didn't have time.
FOSI, Clark Chapin says, is an FMLA. What is an FMLA? I hear you ask. Why, it's a 4 or more letter acronym, which itself is an FMLA.
Oh, my.
And, of course, we use WTF on here, Rick. We're going to put these all in our dictionary. Overuse of acronyms, the best way. I think we read that before from Fritz Mueller down normally in Miami. So bravo Zulu to this guy. I'm going to try to get him on the show. I don't know if I can. He's going to be a very busy boy, but we'll see if we can get him on the show nonetheless. That lets him. Bravo Zulu. And thanks again, Jonathan Shore, for helping get that story to us. Julia?
While I think of it,
yes.
we can celebrate Leland Stanford Jr.'s birthday.
When is that?
Today.
So what?
156
So
years.
what? So what? Yes, that is feet elite.
Yes.
Did you have any tents down there, all these student protesters?
Oh, yeah, I'm afraid so.
Did you have your when is your graduation ceremony? When is your commencement?
In 2 weeks.
So it hasn't been closed
No.
yet? Thank goodness. Thank goodness. The orcas are on the attack again, apparently, and several of you, thank you, those of you, Graham Sweeney and Gordon Smith and others sent this article. It's been appearing all over in the last day. And BBC reporting that a yacht sinks after being rammed by orcas in the Strait of Gibraltar. Nice shot, courtesy of Reuters of Gibraltar. John Nazca took that shot from a ferry, apparently. A sailing yacht has sunk in Moroccan waters, this was on Sunday, I believe, in the Strait of Gibraltar after being rammed by an unknown number of orcas, Spain's Maritime Rescue Services said. 2 people on board the vessel, the Alboran Cognac, what a great name,
yes.
were rescued by a passing oil tanker after an incident at 0900 local time on Sunday. It is the latest in a series of orca rammings of vessels around the Strait of Gibraltar over the past 4 years. Scientists are unsure about the exact cause. We've had a scientist, one of the leading scientists on this show, of the behavior, but believe the highly intelligent mammals could be displaying copycat or playful behavior. We've been hearing that. Spain's Maritime Rescue Service said that the 2 passengers reported feeling sudden blows to the hull and rudder, causing water to seep into the vessel. The couple alerted emergency services and were rescued by a nearby oil tanker, which then took them to Gibraltar. The yacht was left adrift and eventually sank. Quote, the idea of revenge is a great story, but there's no evidence for it. Neuroscientist Lori Marino, president of the Whale Sanctuary Project, previously told the BBC, there's never, quote continues, there's never been a case of an orca harming a human being in the wild. If they really wanted to do damage and harm the people on the boat, they could easily do that, she asserted. True. So do you think they're just being playful? Is that the conclusion? Or is this the whale people defending the whales?
I don't know.
Who are on attacking yachts of all things.
Well, at least they are bothering them on purpose.
They aren't, or they are?
They are.
Well, they are for sure, right?
Yeah.
Well.
And it's for fun or not, or just saying, look out, guys, we're here.
Okay, well, we shall see, but that's the story. If they really wanted to do damage, they could. There's one more little line here. Instead, Lori told the BBC it's more likely the apparent attacks, quote, started out as play behavior.
Yeah.
And it's a case of copycat killer whales rather than aggression. Quote, We're talking about very intelligent beings, and we know that they are social learners, unquote, she said. Scientists think the endangered mammals instead appear to be playing with the boats out of curiosity and copycat behavior rather than aggression. Well, let's hope they don't go up the coast, inside Gibraltar and up the coast to Barcelona. BCN, speaking of abbreviations, airport codes. I love it. I love airport codes, as you know.
Yes.
BCN. Julia,
Sir.
what are we celebrating today? There's a clue for you.
Oh, well, it looks like, I don't know. I've forgotten the name. Croutons.
It's yesterday, in fact, was National Crouton Day. It's a belated celebration. These crunchy bread bites are the perfect addition to any salad or soup, adding texture and flavor. Easy to make at home. Easy for you to say, as we have back here on our croutonic corner, courtesy of Pedro Foiling Sailor of Peter Stevenson.
Yeah.
We have several different, the original semi-Freddy's Kalamata olive croutons, which was a gift from a Fozy, and then a gift from Pedro himself and his sister, Pimp My Salad, Australian croutons. These came from the esteemed Vice Commodore, original premium beef jerky. That's different. Pemmican. That came up during a show, so we have to have that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That we have to have. So that is what is being celebrated, Julia, today, National Crouton Day.
Actually, that soup looks
it's
really
actually,
good.
Sorry?
That soup looks really good.
Is that tomato soup? Tomato bisque? What is that?
I don't know.
It's actually yesterday, May 13th, but I couldn't help myself. I couldn't find anything else more interesting. So I ask you, on behalf of Jody Shields, our resident croutonic curmudgeon, how's that for alliteration? And notice I've fixed the spelling of croutonic with a little hat over the U.
Oh, as in crouton.
Crouton is a French word.
Yes.
CC, so is it correct or croutonic, this following story about the supposed invention of croutons? A versatile crouton, according to National Today, first showed up in France, and it referred to bread crusts that were cut into small pieces and were served with drinks. Some people think croutons were inspired by French biscotti and other ancient baked goods. There's even a famous folk tale about croutons on the internet. As the tale goes, knight-turned-diplomat, Sir
Edward Crouton.
Edgar Crouton was posted to England, although no one knew how he got the job, ill-mannered as he was. While dining with the King of England one night, something he was frequently required to do as a diplomat, Sir Crouton was served soup and bread. I kid you not, I found this on the internet this morning. In his haste to eat, he accidentally dropped several pieces of bread into his soup and could not fish them out as the king was watching. At a loss, he simply stuffed everything into his mouth, bread, soup, and all. Thankfully, this tasted delicious. Sir Crouton decided this dish needed a new name, and realizing that no such name existed, honored this dish with his own.
I love the story, but I'm sure it was older than that, because anybody who was eating old bread with soup.
But maybe this was in the 1300s or the 1400s.
Oh, yeah?
It could have been old. Doesn't have a date. Correct or croutonic, Julia? I give it to you and the Fozy. Is it correct or croutonic?
I love it. So
What's wrong with the story? Jonathan Frank, croutons can be lovely, crunchy complement to vodka tonics.
oh yes,
Is that right?
yes.
You and your vodka tonic day, did you drink croutons or vodka cranberry?
Vodka cranberry? No, I didn't.
Ted Ryman says it's a great story and obviously true.
Right.
Pindar's he said, Gatwick, LGW, isn't that the code for London Gatwick from memory? French biscotti, that's croutonic, Steve Gruber is saying. I think that whole story is croutonic.
Yes.
But Clark Chapin is saying, without sounding too political, I wonder if National Crouton Day was selected because it's the birthday of a certain female member of the I think he means Georgia congressional delegation. Gazpacho, that soup looked like the Fritz
Oh, it
Mueller.
does. Right. It does.
Croutonic soup day. Okay, enough of croutons, but I had to go with this. Sir Edgar Crouton, correct? Or croutonic. Now wait, there's more. I got to get into the edit because people ask me all the time, well, where'd you get this word crouton? You just made, no, I didn't make it up. First of all, obviously it's a French word, the diminutive of croûte, which is crust from Middle French. Crust, how do you say that in French? Crusta? Crusta? From Old French, from the Latin crusta, the Latin.
Yeah.
First known use was in 1806, as above. And the first known use of crouton, again, 1806. This according to Merriam-Webster, who, by the way, that dictionary is now owned by Britannica. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Now, the Urban Dictionary, which is much more impressive and much more fun, they say it's originally derived, which is where I got it from. I got it from hockey playing friends, the hockey player that I am.
Right.
And growing up as a hockey player in Michigan and had a lot of French-Canadian friends. It's derived from the Canadian word croûte and is generally adopted by a select few in Lille and otherwise. It is used as an insult. It's a mild pejorative and is generally well accepted. You, sir, are a crouton.
Yeah.
So you think that I made this up. I didn't make this up. I actually got it from hockey playing friends in Canada. I've told the story before. Yeah. Stop being a crouton. In fact, you are a garlic and herb crouton. Now, there's a word I didn't know about, croutoning. Croutoning, the verb, is used to describe someone who uses their higher authority to silence any opinions or opposite views. Nice, huh? People who crouton also regularly jump to conclusions about conversations and not let anyone else speak but themselves. Croutoning can also be used as a noun, crouton, for situations where you are describing their actions. Huh? Mm-hmm. Comes from the word croutons that are very weak and fragile.
Yes.
Now, Julia. Crusty. Do you like that?
Yes.
And then there's Tom Eamon on Sailing Illustrated, who coined the word croutonic.
Right.
Croutonic to describe a condition
of being a crouton. It's an adjective or an adverb, right? Yeah.
Croutonic behavior.
Yep.
It's an adjective mostly.
Yeah.
That's not in the Urban Dictionary yet, but if anyone has access to the Urban Dictionary, I would certainly appreciate being
recognized.
Please do not. Please don't put that. And finally, this from our Fozy Tom Fishbeck down in SoCal. Oh, this is making my croutons crumble. Thanks, Fish. Tom Fishbeck, Balboa Yacht Club and beyond down in SoCal. That's so much for National Crouton Day, which of course was yesterday, so belatedly we are wishing you all a very happy National Crouton Day. We're also celebrating today, and all of you who give us a few bucks via Patreon, become patrons. Thanks for your support. Certainly patrons are Fozy.
Indeed.
But Fozy are beyond patrons. Patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated, and we appreciate your support very much indeed.
Indeed.
Julia, anything else before we get rolling into the real news? Ivan Grekoff says, great. This crouton conversation is all FUBAR. There's another. You know what FUBAR stands for?
Yeah.
Fudged up beyond all recognition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Jonathan Frank. We'll have to put all these in. Clayton Embley is saying, croutons are a wonderful sailing food. Campbell's tomato soup with cheese. Old Bay and croutons, best Mideast ever. G'day from Melbourne. Chris Fury is saying, at ridiculous o'clock. Well, what is it? 06:25. That's a bracing hour. You're up before breakfast, Chris. Steve Gruber, croutoning is not my favorite word. Julia, I think we do a lot of croutoning on this show.
Oh, we do?
Every show. Huh?
Yes.
I think every show we are croutoning. Mm-hmm. Bloody hell. I put this day in history. Normally run it later in the show, but I put it right up at the top of the show because it's a significant, kind of an important day. Now, this happened technically on the 13th of May, but it was the 14th of May down under. And, of course, now it's the 15th of May down under today. But what difference does all that make? Do you know, Julia, what happened on this day, on the 13th of May, 1995?
Oh, it's too close. I don't know.
1995.
Uh-oh.
You want a clue?
Yep.
Okay, here's your first clue.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody with you or ahead of you here on the comments? Australia sank. Michael Frank is saying nope. New Zealand won the cup. John Sangmeister, ding, ding, ding. He gets.
Yeah.
Man, he was quick. New Zealand won the cup, 95. Steve Gruber right behind him. New Zealand wins the cup. That's right. Second time the cup went south. True, John Hanfield. And that is what happened on this day in history, 1995. And of course, as you know, I can't leave it there. That is Black Magic, the name of the yacht, NZL 32. And I posted that as my cover photo, I think, on Facebook yesterday, in the last couple of days. Yeah, Josh Tozo's got it. NZL wins in San Diego. Well done, Josh and Steve and everyone else that's got. But let's go back to the comment from Randy Terwilliger on my Facebook page. I just saw it this morning. Look at all those sailors.
No. Yes. I miss him.
A real boat won the AC. That's Bingbo. That's Sangmeister's kid,
Yeah.
William.
Yeah.
A real boat won the AC.
Yeah.
Well done, William.
I know. Yeah.
Look at this beautiful shot. That is from our Fozy. And Fozy, because he's been on the show a couple of times, at least a couple of times, that is from Daniel Forster, the Swiss clockmaker. The clockmaker, as we call him, who's originally from Switzerland, lives now in Jamestown. I think it's Jamestown. Lives in the Newport, Rhode Island area. Yeah, too bad they couldn't find an actual photo of Stingray. Well, how is that one? That from Daniel Forster. That's the Point Loma right behind there, looking to the east, actually. Point Loma sticks down to the ocean toward the south. And it was, this is also from a Fozy. See if you can guess who wrote this, Julia. As unbelievable as it may seem, this is from 5 years ago that he wrote this. To those who took part or witnessed it, 13 May 2020, 4 years ago, which is the 14th of May, New Zealand time, as we mentioned, will mark a quarter of a century since Team New Zealand in Black Magic, NZL 32, completed one of the most comprehensive victories in the history of the Cup, winning all 5 races, and by a lot, by the way, of the 95 Cup match with margins as much as 4 minutes 14. It is one of those days where you remember where you remember where you were for New Zealanders above a certain age. The opponent was the colorful Roy Lichtenstein painted Young America, USA 36, a.k.a. the Mermaid or Dorothy, after surviving, I never heard it called Dorothy, after surviving damage in a tornado, which is true. Skippered by, it was knocked off its dolly or its cradle in Mission Bay. Skippered by New Zealand's greatest yachting nemesis, Dennis Conner, who called tactics for his helmsman, New Zealand's 92 nemesis, Paul Chiardini. Conner, before the match, had swapped out the slower Stars and Stripes, USA 34, for Young America in a vain search for boat speed. And that, of course, is true. I was with that team following around in the RIB. There's another RIB. You know what RIB stands for?
Yeah.
Rigid Inflatable Boat.
Oh, yeah.
Rubber boat, rubber inflated boat.
Right.
And I was the rules advisor for Dennis in 95, and of course followed that match around. But the faster boat was Coke's boat, and he wouldn't let us have it. So I went into Jerry Ladow, and I had to go do a deal. We raised some more money from the port so that we could pay John Marshall was short. They were short a campaign fund, so we ended up sending them a big chunk of money in return for chartering their boat, and that was probably the biggest mistake we made. We would not have beaten we would not have beaten Russell and Co. on the Kiwi boat, but switching over to the Mermaid from Stars and Stripes 95, we never got that boat up to speed. We never, our guys never sailed it as well as they sailed Stars and Stripes 95 because you know the boat and you learn it through the trials and back and forth and so on. You were part of the process of DC getting the Mermaid. Yes, Michael Frank, as you know, I was. And right after, just to recollect that, right after that last, when we beat, the ladies, to go ahead and secure and come from behind. Remember, the ladies were way ahead.
Yeah.
It was a lighter race. The wind quit. ESPN went off the air and went to something else. And I think it was ESPN. Was it somebody else? And the TV coverage was gone. We came back and won right at the drifted across the finish line. And at that point now, we take a tow. We're celebrating. The Bill Koch and the ladies' team are obviously depressed and despondent and more.
Yes.
We're towing in. Dennis waves me over. I hop on the boat from the chase boat, and we have a conclave in the back of the boat about how do we. First of all, which boat do we get? We knew Koch's boat was the better, and Dennis said, "Well, I've already talked to Bill, and he's not going to give it to us, so we got to get the Mermaid." Is that possible under the rules? I said, yes, it is possible under the rules. It was then. It's not now. Possible under the rules. We can get it. We got to do the charter deal. Jerry Ladow, who was our COO, would do the charter deal. We'd go to the port and try to raise some more money because we were short of money as well. And Dennis said, yeah, we got to race that boat. Anything better. We got to improve our chances. We're not going to beat Russell with this thing, meaning Stars and Stripes 95. So that in a nutshell is what came down right after that race, and that's how we ended up getting that boat. Do you still stand by that? No, as I just said, Michael, I think it was a big mistake, and I know you're not trying to be snarky. I think Dennis, in the meantime, has said the same. I mean, who knows? In 2020 hindsight, we probably would have gotten beaten even worse, but it was good. Yeah, that was an amazing race that DC won against A3, Ed Worley is saying indeed. Koch not giving up his faster boat to challenge for the Cup was really Coke tonic. Oh, crew tonic, he's saying. Jonathan Frank. Steve Gruber was with, who were you with, Steve? Were you with the Mermaid? We were working the sail off 45 minutes before the tornado ripped the tent off the ground and threw it. There were several teams over there in Mission Bay. And threw it onto the rig of the boat in its cradle. A Genoa ended up in the parking lot at SeaWorld.
Oh my gosh.
A half mile away. What great stories. What great memories. What fantastic. John Hanfield saying Connor should way up there. Connor should have done the same and used freedom, and he couldn't use freedom, John, in '83, because as we said before on this show, they had moved. Freedom was a low freeboard 12, and it was lower than the rule allowed, but at the time it was permitted. It was not an illegal boat, but it was grandfathered into the rule going forward with a higher freeboard minimum. And you couldn't do certain things to the boat or you would lose your grandfather exception, which they did. Unbeknownst to Stars and Stripes, at some point they moved, I think it was the tack, the forestay position or something. They moved something on Freedom, which caused them to lose their grandfathering of Freedom. Or else I think he would have used Freedom in the '83 match and maybe would have won. I mean, he almost won with Liberdog, with Liberty. It was called Liberdog. It was a slow boat. And that's how well those guys, John, Dennis, and co sailed.
Yeah.
John Marshall and Tom Whidden and the whole group. How well they sailed to go 4-3, and not to take anything away from Australia too, but so okay. There's lots of good memories here and comments brought back by that win, Pac 95. So Steve was with Pac 95. He was with the Mermaid, and Ed Worley asserting that the innovation was the superior mass of the Kiwis. Well, they had figured out to move the rig aft. That's for sure. Was 95 when Koch bought an earlier French boat and then built 4 more? Did he build 4 more or 5 more? I guess he built 4 more and Il Moro built 5, and that's when we put the 2-boat rule in after that. Johann submarine freedom by moving was it the rudder, Ed Worley is saying? No, the rudder post was moved. Thank you for the memories and stories. They're always fantastic. Well, thanks for the memories.
Yes.
Graham Sweeney checking in from Yell, Shetland. And John Lamberts Van Buren confirming that Freedom had a freeboard grandfather ruling, which they lost due to other mods. Yeah, was it the rudder mod? Could have been more than one. Okay. David James, Golden Gate 61 would have won with another 2 weeks of tuning. Well, maybe. Okay, that was when I read that was Dr. Hamish Ross, our Superfos. He's been on the show, must be a dozen times by now, writing for americascup.com in 2020, so 4 years ago. So that's coming up. Hard to believe. That's coming up on 30 years ago, Julia. Next year, 30 years ago, that Russell and Co., the late, great Peter Blake, and that team wrestled the cup away from us at San Diego Yacht Club and took it down under, and the Kiwis have been dominant for the most part.
Yeah.
Other than the Alinghi and the Oracle BMW excursions. Okay, and I have a video of the celebration and the famous PJ, Peter Montgomery call.
Oh, good.
Of that.
I love him.
This is just for you. We're dedicating this to you, Julia.
Oh, good. I haven't.
And Sangmeister is saying, yep, we're all getting old. Indeed we are. And here's that video.
The America's Cup is now New Zealand's Cup, and for only the second time in 144 years, the most illustrious and elusive of prizes in sailing, international sport's oldest prize, leaves the United States, this time to a different down under, New Zealand! Peter Blake, Russell Coots and the team, because finally New Zealand really has something to shout about.
Good start to the day so far. Gotta reach for the sun.
The New Zealanders are again outsailing the Americans.
Today, with my neighbor, together is better.
The America's Cup is now New Zealand's Cup.
Nice?
Yes.
Nice memories?
Yes. But I couldn't go. I was working and doing something, and I could not go to that.
To San Diego?
To San Diego.
Well, you missed it.
No, because I sent Conrad and Ken Hudson, and I got all my stuff from them.
Oh, they went down.
Yeah.
Well, that boat now is famously enshrined in the New Zealand Maritime Museum. That's, of course, NZL 32. And just to reprise, as Hamish wrote in that piece, San Diego Yacht Club, of course, the Defender. We sailed with Young America. The RNZ was the Challenger. Black Magic, the name of the yacht, obviously. And they won 5-0. These are IACC boats. There would be a few more. This was the second IACC regatta. Remember, 92 was the first after we transitioned out of the 12s into the IACC yachts. And then this was the second of what, 5? So 92, 95, 2000, 03, and 07. So yeah, 5 different matches with the International America's Cup class, as it was originally called. They won 5-0. Look at the deltas. As much as 4. And when they won that second race in 4:14, after that, I can assure you, Russell and Co. took the pedal off the metal, dialed their speed back, and just, they were smoking fast, at least compared to us. Such splendid memories, how the mighty have fallen. David James above that, Graham Sweeney, all that effort to bring the All Mug to New Zealand, and here we are, Bravo's BZ defending offshore. I think he means NZ. This must be what a liberal government does for a nation politics. Yeah, nice to remember Sir Peter Blake, the late great Peter Blake. And John Hanfield above that asserting that win ushered in 3 of the best cup campaigns we've seen, 2000, 03, and 07. Well, 95 was a good campaign. 92 was a hell of a good campaign. Those were all good campaigns in the ICC boats. I wonder, if we should have stuck with that class or something like it. Ed Worley down there at the bottom, IACC boats were good design, lots of great racing and innovations. Here's a close-up look of that boat. And by the way, a close-up look of that crew. Look at the names of the sailors.
Oh, wow.
Who were famous then,
Yeah.
but since then even more so, whether in offshore racing or in other America's Cups and beyond. But Russell and Brad, Tom, Murray Jones, Murray Jones, who I think's won more cups now than anybody, as a crew or as a coach or as whatever. The guy's right up there, if not on the top of the heap. Rick Dodson, of course, Dean Phipps, Joey Allen, Matty Mason, Jeremy Scantlebury, Craig Monk, Andrew Taylor were the grinders. But here, we talk about this, Julia, in the context of the current Cup, where you got the cyclers, some of whom don't know their ass from their ankle about sailing, by their own admission.
Right.
And now look at the grinders here. Craig Monk, an Olympic medalist, Andrew Taylor, and another, I don't know if he was a medalist, but fabulous sailors. They're the grinders. So they're doing lots of other things on the boat as well as providing most of the power. And of course, at times, any number of these other guys, even in the afterguard, were hopping on the handles as well.
Yeah.
And the trimmers extraordinaire, Simon Daubney, Robbie Naismith, Warwick Fleury, Peter Blake himself, and Ross Halcrow. What a list. This day in history, the 13th, or if you were down under, the 14th of May, 1995, almost 30 years ago. Yeah, don't forget Schnack's impact on that campaign with the sails. That's true, John. And Lily's sailing with Craig Monk now, John Emmett is saying. That's nice to know. Baton Rouge up there above, it seems as when the dust has settled, the winning boat seems they were going to win the entire time. Yeah, that's been the history of the Cup, go off the starting line and you start to go, how do I do this? You start to go upwind and, I'm in the rubber boat right behind our boat, the rules advisor and the coaches and whoever else. And the first, or back in the 60s, 70s, 30s, in fact, the first thing you looked at, who was a click higher or a click faster, or in the case of 95, who was both a click higher and maybe 2 clicks higher and faster. And then Russell was able always to bear away and speed ahead, bow down across the competition. And that's what the Cup's about. Ed Worley, DC commented that Black Magic looked so different from the other IACC designs and looked like a little bit like a 12. Dirk Kramers, my dear friend, John Lambert's Van Buren's good friend, Dutch from the Netherlands, Dirk Kramers has 11 Cup campaigns and 6 wins. With that, he holds the record.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, he maybe did hold the record. I'm not sure if he's now tied. Not now tied. Cyclers would be defeated by all of them. Ed Worley higher and faster, indeed. Okay, so that's this day in history, a little special one, which is why, as I said, I put that, Julia, at the top
It's
of
fun.
the show. You like that? What a great sport. What a great sport.
I know.
And I look at the FOSI. We're talking about the definitions of FOSI. Obviously, FOSI are benefactors, are people who are patrons via Patreon who support us. They're FOSI.
Yeah.
People who've been on the show
Yeah.
are FOSI. You come on the show, you're a friend. Just to come on the show and agree to come on, you're a FOSI, a friend of Sailing Illustrated. And the others are the regulars. Those of you who are on here regularly, you become a FOSI by friendship, by regularity. Regularity, that sounds like somebody who's doesn't have bowel problems. We're not talking about that kind of regularity.
Stop.
Julia, it's good to have you back.
TMI.
Well, you can shake your finger. I mean, you haven't even given me a finger shake. Superior boat speed makes you a tactical genius. Chris Fury is saying. Yeah, regularity makes you a tactical genius.
Shame on you.
I couldn't help it. You got to relax. San Diego turned out to be a pretty... You know what? That's true, Ed. And Julie, you know why San Diego was such a good... It was light, to be sure.
Yeah.
Light-ish.
Yeah.
Light medium. But you know that we lost fewer days of racing in the 88, 92, and 95 Cups in San Diego than any other venue.
Well, that
We
could
lost
well be.
we lost a couple in February of 95 to too much wind, from memory, maybe February, March. We lost maybe one to too little air, but very few days were
Yeah.
lost due to bad weather in San Diego.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why San Diego turns out so many darn good sailors, because you can sail outside in the lump and the light. You can sail inside in the lake conditions of San Diego Bay. But the most important thing is you can sail pretty much
All year long.
year-round and every day, almost every day. Sailing Illustrated, it'll keep you regular, guaranteed.
No, that's another one.
Huh? Give him a shake of the finger, Julia. I didn't have you on the air, though, when you did that. That was a good shake, too. Oh, my goodness. Let's get to Emmett's report. John's given us a good report. See if you can guess where he is. It's not a mystery. As soon as you see his opening slide. Coach's Corner with John Emmett coming to you this morning from the UK.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. Well, I was intending to do a walk and talk and you can all play Guess Where I Am, but I think it's probably quite obvious where I am. My cunning plan was to take you for a little walk around Dorchester and then giving people time to guess. I eventually end up at the Dorchester Hospital to have a little look at my wrist. But believe it or not, it was torrential rain yesterday and it was also incredibly windy. Now, that's the reason I'm filming here, although we do have quite a lot of background noise from the helicopter, but such is life. Anyway, welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner, and I want you to see if you can guess what the theme of today's talk is. So, a long time ago, I was in the heat of battle at a Worlds in Poland, and I managed to get the main sheet wrapped around my wrist. And at that point, the key element was to get it off as quickly as possible so I could get progressing down the reach. And somehow it managed to tie itself around, and the way I decided to get rid of it was to do a sort of twist and pull motion. And it was actually there where I really hurt my wrist. But you don't notice these things at the time because you tend to be so focused on your racing. Now, looking back, I think probably I should have got it looked at a little bit because I had a bit of pain, and for the past few years it's got progressively worse. To start with, it was just a little bit uncomfortable driving a rib, and then a bit uncomfortable actually doing the masks, putting them together, taking them apart. And then it got to the point after the pandemic that it was really hard to do press-ups because the wrist hurt so much. In fact, I remember I could do the press-up challenge during the pandemic, but it wasn't long after it wasn't possible. Then it got to the point where doing a bar press wasn't possible, and it got worse and worse and worse. So I thought, well, now I need to get it done. And truth of the matter, I think I was just so focused all the time on my coaching, and it was only when I got that natural break I started to look after myself. So I was obviously hoping for a bit of a fix, and you know, sometimes we need to go down the surgical option here. Now for me, unfortunately, it looks like, pun intended, that ship may well have sailed because as soon as there's arthritis in the joint, I don't actually think they can get the stability back there. You're talking about fusions, removing bones, or even replacing wrists, all those sort of things. So very important idea. And it's always sort of do what I say rather than what I do. But it's really good, and this is the theme of today, to do things sooner rather than later.
What do you think?
That's a good message.
Sooner rather than later?
Yeah.
We never procrastinate around here.
Oh, we do. But with injuries, we do often
Yeah,
wait.
You can't say with a straight face. Well, Julie Ahrens is a regular for sure and a big supporter.
Yeah.
She's a good egg. It's nice to have her on from Cleveland. She's
Yeah.
a big fan and a big supporter. You know, she spends a lot of time on social media attacking those who attack Grant Dalton.
Ah, well, that's,
Defending him might be a more polite way of putting it.
Yes.
She's aggressive. She's good. I want her to defend us the way she defends Grant
Yeah,
Dalton.
but no, and she does.
Helicopter wrist injury related to carpool tunnels injury. Yeah, we could make some jokes about that. The helicopter wrist injury, couldn't we, Julia? That would get a wrist. That would get a shake of your wrist. Chris Exley is joining. He's glad to be here. Stingray, I'm glad John can still pick up his hairdryer. You always have to be ready, Jonathan Frank says, to do those 1 pint bar presses. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. John, thanks. Good report as always. Thank you very much. He also has done some other reportage, and I'll probably run him Friday, but down the road in due course. John Emmett, get to the front of the fleet. John Emmett Sailing, doing our regular Coach's Corner. When folks pick on you, I will defend you. Oh, I guess they don't pick on us on social media. Stingray defends us, too, I've noticed.
Yes.
Sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't either. Sometimes to keep his credibility, say, oh, that Eamon is a real crouton.
Yes. Yes.
Ed Worley, I have a lot of respect for Dalton. B, I still disagree with the path he has taken with the cut. Fair enough. Good and a good point. Thanks again, John Emmett. Thank you very much. Let's get to our main theme for today's show, the cover story, which is this Bravo Zulu to this Italian pair who maybe are the best duo in the sport. I mean, Julia, it's just astonishing. Now, I start with this photo we played on Friday. I showed on Friday,
Right.
not of them, but of the Swedish Nacra. The Swedes had a real battle royal between them, and I don't know the details. This was for qualifying for the Olympics from Sweden. But just a fabulous photo,
Yes.
and I'll tell you by whom in a sec. But this was this regatta in Le Grand Mot in France, the 4th through the 12th. So it wrapped on Sunday, and it was not only the Nacra Worlds, the Nacra 17 Worlds, but it was also the 49er and the FX. Ooh, my graphics department screwed that up. Look at that. Europeans. Knock on that door, Julia, and tell the graphics department
Hey, you
over
guys.
there and over there in the control room that they screwed up. This photo is by, and a lot of these photos I'm about to show you are by Didier Hilaire, whom I've not met, but is obviously a terrific photographer. And I think this is one of the best photos we've shown on this show in memory.
Yeah. It's fabulous.
Mikael Lunt, nice to have you back. Emil and Hannah selected for the games today. Are they in this photo, Mikael? Is that them? And they were I saw that the Swedes made the selection. Was it this pair or was it another pair? I know there were two of them from Sweden in the hunt and using this regatta as their final trials. Bing bong, no one picks on Tom because he's usually right. Oh, aren't you kind?
Yes.
William Sangmeister. It's them. John Hanfield confirming. So Bravo Zulu to them. And thanks again. Yeah, okay, good. Thanks to Didier Hilaire for these photos, including this one off the Nacra 17 class website of these two world title for the fourth time. Tita and Banti. Bravo Zulu to them.
The boat's almost not in the picture.
Yeah, but what's just fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
Here's another photo of them after taking the win. And from the website and beyond, there was a lot of ink for these two, and deservedly so. Italian foiling stars Ruggero, Tita. Is it Ruggero in Italian or Ruggero? Tita and Caterina Banti have won their fourth Nacra 17 world title in Le Grand Mot, France. It was also a great day for the first-time winners of a major championship for teams from Uruguay and Belgium in the 49er and the 49er FX European Championships. As soon as I can find some video from this regatta, I haven't seen any yet, then I'll run some more on Friday, but and cover the 49er and the 49er FX, albeit it was their Europeans. It's still as big an event really as their Worlds, or almost. After winning their first world title in Denmark, this is Tita and Banti, back in 2018, the reigning Olympic champions won 3 back-to-back Nacra 17 world titles in 2022, 2023, and now 2024. It bodes well for the Italians defense, you think, of the Olympic title in Marseille in just over 2 months from now. Quote from them, "Finally, we reach Billy's number." I love that. Smiled Tita, holding 4 fingers aloft, referring to the 4 Nacra 17 world titles achieved by French team, the French sailing phenom, Billy Besson. Remember his name, Julia? Billy Besson? He's been skippering, or was skippering, till he got excused. He was skippering the French Sail GP team. That's where you've heard that name. In fact, Marie Roux has been around too, sailing on any number, successfully in any number of other events after she graduated, if that's the right word, from the Nacra 17. Quote, "Winning here is an important step to make sure we are prepared for the games. We are pretty happy because we worked out a few things in the light stuff." As John keeps reminding us, you're always working, steadily improvement, incremental improvement. That's how you win medals. That's how you get to the top of the fleet. "We didn't think we were going to have any light wind this week, but surprisingly, we had 3 days of the light, and we performed pretty good, pretty well. Winning the Worlds is a major milestone in what could prove to be an extraordinary year for the determined Italian who hopes to win." This from the website, written by Andy Robertson, from memory, "who hopes to win another Olympic gold and a few weeks later help Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli bring the America's Cup home to Italy for the first time in its 172-year history.
Yay.
It's going to be, quote, "It's going to be super important, this double duty. I'm pretty sure on one side we have a good chance to win a medal, and on the other we have a very good chance to win the cup with Luna Rossa." This is Tita obviously talking. "We have a fantastic boat. The design team did a super good job with our AC-75. Now the boat is in our hands, and it's up to us, the sailors, to make the difference. I really think we have a very good chance this time." So do a lot of other people.
I do too, just for no other reason. It's his 6th time.
You mean Mr. Bertelli?
Bertelli. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Bertelli. John Hanfield is saying, "No way, Prada is a dog.
Oh.
She looks slow with more windage than the other teams."
Oh, Jay, I hope not.
David James, I agree. Grammar is not an Olympic sport, especially when he is not speaking in his native language. If I spoke in Spanish or German or any other language half as well as he does, I'd be very impressed. Andrew, hello, Andrew. There's Andrew Davola, a.k.a. Dolly. Great to see you both in health today.
Yay.
Sunny in Sydney today after 15 days of rain. Well, it's up early. It's only not even 7 a.m. there yet. So, Bravo Zulu to them. And here is the rest of the podium. A surprise. I guess it was a surprise. Tell me, you Brits who've been following this closer than I. John Gimson and Anna Burnett finished second. I mean, here come the Brits in yet another class, looking good for the Olympics. And Gianluigi Ugolini, I believe, Maria Jubilee, another Italian team who aren't going to be going to the Olympics, they finished third. The Italians are great in these foiling classes.
I think Jubilee is a lovely last name.
It is. But then Jean-Luigi is a great first name.
It is.
And then the Argentinians were Matteo and Eugenia were fourth, and then the Swedes, Emil and Hannah, whom you were, okay, so now we know. There they are in fifth, which would mean they for sure would have, well, you all said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, British did well in all 3 classes, John Emmett is saying. Yeah, Tita's English is much better than my Italian. That's what I was saying for sure. Okay, GBR, not a surprise at all. Mikhail Lunt is saying, been up there many times before, many podiums. Pedro, foiling sailor, how late at the Opera House enjoying the ballet. Did I miss much more rain coming, Dolly? More rain coming. Now, I want to focus in on Tita, because he's gotten a lot of ink, and deservedly so. Tita Triumph is the headline in Velo, the terrific Italian publication. And now the Olympics and the America's Cup. This is translated, obviously, from the Italian. Ruggero Tita, the Coles Poker. I'm not quite sure what that was originally in Italian, the Cold's Poker. He scrambled to a 20-point lead in his fourth Nacra 17 World Championship and third consecutive with Baumann Caterina Banti at Le Grand Mat, sealing an unchallenged dominance that puts him in a position to be the compulsory favorite, no doubt, at the next Olympics in Marseille, July 2028, after winning the gold in 2020. Vela goes on to say, and he refuted those who said he would have to choose between Olympic sailing and Luna Rossa. Instead, Roger, 32, known as, so that translation didn't come through, known as Ruggero the Cold, did well to keep his foot in his mouth. I think that, again, the Italian translation did well to keep his what's not foot and mouth like we would say in English, but to keep his powder dry. I think, right. It is not an ordinary victory. His 5 firsts, 4 seconds out of 13 races, excluding the medal race. Somebody else won the medal. We are at the level of Roger Federer's heyday at Wimbledon, when there was none. There was no second. There was no one else. Yeah. The Circle of Hell. This is the Vela magazine article again. Now what? The round of hell awaits him, winning the Olympics again and winning the America's Cup of Luna Rossa in 2 months, from late July to September. Well, longer than that. And it certainly won't be athletic training, his problem. It will be the head that will have to be there. But Ruggi, the Cold, is a Trentino. He's from Trentino. Hardened by the harsh mountain climate. And if he succeeds in this feat, then yes, he will become a national hero. He deserves it. Now get this. Ruggero's opponents in the America's Cup, however, he has them on his team, his opponents. Max Serena will not be able to disregard his state of grace, his state of his success here, recent success. But he will have to play it safe when Luna Rossa's other 3 outriders, meaning potential skippers, since there can only be 2 of them at the helm of the AC-75, 1 on each board, 1 on each side. Marco Gridoni, who's in the camp, who's new in the camp, is practicing at the helm. There's an article about that, the link there. And the 2 veterans, Francesco Bruni, and Jimmy Spithill.
I forgot that Spithill's with him.
Yeah, Spithill's with him. So there's the gentleman. He is the new sheriff in town, maybe. Ruggero the Cold, as they call him, Ruggero Tita. Will he be on a wheel for LRPP? What saith you, the Fozzie, and the others who are watching here today, whether on YouTube or Facebook? Keep his mind in the game, Julie Aarons is saying. Yeah, and F1, David James. Yeah, yep. Will he be on one of the wheels? What do you think? Julia, you get to go first.
I don't care as long as I get to look at his picture.
Ha! Oh, Julia.
No, anyway, I'm. You know that I have a secret.
You're expanding from Brits and Aussies and Kiwis to Italians now.
Well, no, I've always wanted them to win.
Emmett says yes. John Emmett says yes, he's going to be on a wheel.
Good.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's got to, you get on a roll. I remember in my days and any days when you're on a roll, sailing in one class or one event, Clark Chapin will back me up on this. You go from strength to strength. You think you're invincible, and you are invincible until you're not. That's the way that works.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he's on. But bravo Zulu to them, a 4-peat, winning 4 worlds. It's so difficult in any class, let alone 3 in a row, and being the defending Olympic champs. The story could sink his chances with the other team members in Luna Rossa. Attitude is everything. Team, not individuals. I think performance, Ed Worley, will outweigh everything. If he gets on the helm and is super good, super fast, Tita was terrific in Jeddah. He was there. it would be great to see him get the job. Chris actually agreeing with John Emmett that maybe he will be on a wheel for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Any other comments before we move smartly along here to Sail GP?
If he's been good before, and he will have had to acknowledge the value of team.
Mr. Bertelli loves Olympians, Steve Gruber is saying. Above that, Stingray saying, I'm sure Ruggero, did we decide one of you is an Italian speaker, no doubt. Well, Ruggero or Ruggero? Ruggero is a brilliant, but practice matters, and JS has been deep, this is Stingray's comment, into helping the LRPP LEQ 12 and now AC 75 for months. Yeah, true. Spithill has got to find the fire in his, good comment by Julie Ahrens. Got to find the fire in his belly. When he has it, Spithill had better hang on to keep his spot. Who winger fags? That's Freudian, Julia. Who finger wags Julius? Graham Sweeney is asking. I do.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Did she say something? Did Julia say something that was waggable? I should modify my comment. Mr. Bertelli loves Olympic champions. Good point, Steve Gruber. Sail GP is next on our agenda today. We're an hour and 6 minutes into the show. It is so good to have you back, Julia. It is so much easier and more fun to have you here in studio and not upstairs in the Commodore's suite. When,
Yeah.
You know, I can hear you with your foot on the floor going, stop being a crouton. No, she doesn't do that. Sail GP, coming up here in a couple weeks' time, 2 weeks from this weekend, Canada and the U.S. will be fired up in Halifax. Well, Sail GP wants everybody to think that. I'm sure Canada will be. We'll see if the U.S. is. Does anyone know if the U.S. is for sure going to have their wing fixed? I can't believe that Russell won't get their wing fixed.
Yeah.
They got to get that fixed.
They do have
one
to.
way or another.
Yeah.
So, who has better thumbs for pushing buttons on the AC-75? So the commentators, Canada and the U.S. will be fired up. And, of course, there now is a video. It showed up just before we went to air on the Sail GP website. I managed to grab it in time, but of the famous capsize. And this is a video of the capsize, not just from the 2 or 3 angles we showed you on Friday's show, but now from a lot of different other angles, including aboard the boat, and that is the U.S. boat, including from other boats nearby and even not so nearby. Enjoy this.
Oh, what timing by the Germans there. He had the... Oh, look at the back run!
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, they flipped it. Oh, my Lord. Disaster. Oh, I hope no one's hurt in that.
Off to his left, you've got Australia, and then you've got the Swiss being skippered by none other than Nathan Outridge.
Watch the big wing sail here. It suddenly starts to flip the other way. We see the top of it there. Look, it flips the wrong way there. They've pressed the
And watch
inverse
this.
button for me, and it just flips over. Wow, I mean, that would have just been so dramatic. Here you go, get a better view. Watch this wing in the middle here. It's like having a block of flats in the air that wants to blow you over. Disaster.
Anderson slow to leeward. Are we gonna roll, do you think? Probably not. Probably not. Bridge shouldn't be a problem. A lot of leeward heel there. A lot of leeward heel. We all just fell through the f***ing wing. I'm fine. It's just gonna be good bruising. You lost your shoes? that gets you. Shocker, just got lined up by the Aussies. Watch these guys. Holy f***. Okay.
That looks painful.
I think everyone's a little banged up, but everybody's alive.
Well, it was more fun than being here in the studio, and why I finally turned your camera on and put it PIP because Julia hadn't seen some of that,
I haven't.
and she was going, oh, like you were in pain. I had to look. Are you okay over there, Julia? And you were laughing and
Oh no, not laughing.
watching
oh.
it.
Oh.
It is sort of painful to watch, but
It is.
look at all the songsters that are on here. That best comment. That looks painful. Oh my goodness. Okay, well it's nice. I mean, Sail GP, it's good, and it keeps. I don't know about in your countries, but in our country, it keeps showing up on mainstream media and magazines, and because it's cool video. It's people like Crash and Burn.
They do, unfortunately.
Julie Aaron's. Wow, that hurts so hard to watch. Yeah, it is hard to watch, but it's also crotonic, to be sure. Okay, so the next event's coming up in Canada. The Rockwool is sponsoring. The Danish sponsor is also sponsoring another event, the Sail GP Canada, in Halifax, coming up here on the 1st and 2nd of June. It's that weekend. That is a that is a Saturday, Sunday. I checked. Will Russell replace the shoes? Christmas tree is happening. Oh dear. So I don't know. Does anyone know if that wing, if they've announced whether or not the American team is for sure sailing? I haven't seen anything, and I hope and assume. I mean, I just can't believe.
I can't believe they won't.
Either. Ed Worley, it's like watching NASCAR races. Have a beer and wait for the crashes. Well, maybe that video shows just how on the edge foiling is. Lucky there was no the humanity as a comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. I think one sailor, from talking to people on the team, apparently one sailor, the guy, and I don't know who it was, in fact, John Hanfield may know, but the sailor whose head went into the wing, not through it, but apparently his neck was not correct afterwards, so we shall see. Okay, that's our Sail GP report. Factoid, it takes 12 hours to travel from Halifax to Toronto by train. Wow, really?
Wow.
It's only an hour flight, though, right? Hour and 10 minutes, 15. I've flown it. 15-minute flight. What am I thinking from Halifax to Montreal? I can't remember. In my hockey refereeing days, speaking of flying around that part of Canada, how about the America's Cup? We get to the America's Cup, and there have been a lot of these spy videos, but frankly, there's nothing new in it. Yeah, neck injuries are serious, John Emmett saying in the comments. There's really nothing new except their claims that the British, and this was an article, Julia, by you're a fanboy of Magnus the Magnificent.
Yeah.
And he's writing all this stuff for the website and writing beautifully, but he's written a story that leads you to believe that in the light, the Brits are the fastest thing since proverbial sliced bread. They're just really super fast. And don't look at me like that. Magnus, your big buddy.
Oh, he is.
And I'm not going to run it. There's a long video, and we'll see. Yeah. I think nobody, including the comment by John Hanfield that Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli are slow and sticky and in the light and so on. They may be, and that there's a lot of water coming off their foils and so on. Let's wait, get them there, let them all sail in the same conditions, in the same water, and then let me talk to some people who are in the know and are keen observers of the passing scene. And when we get to that stage, we'll start to say, this is what we're hearing really. Ryman's with Magnus. He thinks He thinks that they're super good. That is the Brits. But then, of course, you know, Ted is a fanboy of the Brit team.
Yeah.
Ed Worley, the New York Yacht Club Patriot, reminds me of Freedom. Very low. Yes, it is very low freeboard, to say nothing of, I guess it's dark blue, isn't it? Magic took off in only 6 knots yesterday. Very impressive, Stingray says. Yeah, okay.
That may be very important, though.
Well, it is very important, but so too will the other boats be taking off in the light. Let's wait till they get their foils on. And what does CZUM, C-Z-U-M, mean, Jonathan Frank? When can the challengers train against each other? Good question, Ed. I don't know. Let's see if any of the Fozzie knows. Groover will probably know one or the other. But let's get to the Cup. There's 2 videos because we are on the 100-day mark to what? There's World on Water coming. He says he likes LRP. He also likes LRPP. Jeff Waller down in Australia. Gordon Smith, I'm with Ted Ryman, who is with Magnus. He's another British fanboy. All the Brits. Mm-hmm. And Ryman, of course, is an expat Brit. They all want the Brits to win. And who wouldn't? I mean, after all these years, since 1851.
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about 6 challenges by Mr. Bertelli, Patrizio Bertelli. How many challenges have the Brits made and failed over the long haul?
Not 6.
Let's see if somebody can count that up for us. And as Chris Exley says, there are a lot of improvements to come before the Challenger Series and the Cup. Yes, indeed. And can they take off in 6 knots and still maneuver? Yes. Britannia looks like a whole generation ahead of LRPP. Graham Sweeney is saying, another Brit.
Well.
We'll see. We shall see.
We'll see.
I hope, as I said on the show on Friday, I hope all of these challengers are good. That's the only way one of them is going to beat the Defender.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Okay, let's look at the video, the first 100-day video. If nothing else, the music sort of puts you in the mood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is 100 days, Julia, to what? What's in 100 days? Ed Worley says, if New York doesn't win, I hope the Brits do. Jonathan Frank says, and the Anglophile that he is, he says, actually, he thinks Magnus has some very good points in that article. Well, we'll see. Now, there's another 100-day video, this from the Brits themselves. So here you are, all you Brit fans, all you Anglophiles, I got a video for you. I don't know if that music is copyrighted or not. I hope not, because we'll get knocked off the air. Did you notice how dark that video was? That came from the team. That was produced by the team,
Yeah.
not by AC.
Yeah.
Excuse me, by AC 37. I think that video was purposely dark. I mean, these guys by now they all know how to produce video, and they know how to light, the exposure and so on, and the white balance and whatever else on video. John Emmett could show them in his sleep how to do better videos than that. I think it was done purposefully to disguise the boat.
Add drama.
Maybe too, but that was too much drama. I think that was to disguise the boat.
You think so?
Yeah, I think. This is our time. Bring the 100-cup home, 100-pound cup home. Graham Sweeney is saying. There is a video here that Emmett wants me to try to play. Okay, I will see if I can, John. We'll probably get knocked off the air here by Crutonicism, but I'll try because we've experimented with this. I have a system set up now to where we might be able to play a video. Okay, now this is the video David James is. We're a little off topic here. I'll come back to this because Lily's in the video. I'll come back to that video. It's about the China Sea Race. It's a Rolex video, M32 World video. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's stay focused here. Focus, everybody. Stay here on the cup. So what is happening in 100 days' time, Julia? What is happening? 100 days is the 22nd of August.
Right.
Is that an auspicious date in America's Cup history?
Is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so happening in 100 days in Barcelona, and I'm sure they chose the date on purpose. 100 days. What is happening in 100 days?
Start racing.
It is the start of racing in Barcelona. But what happened on August 22nd? Now, I had to go in.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I had to go in and use those online timers where you take a date today, put in 100 days, and see what date comes up.
Yeah.
22nd of August. So what happened on the 22nd of August? In 1851,
Oh, yes.
on the 22nd of August,
Right.
on Friday, to be specific, the 22nd of August, the Royal Yacht Squadron ran the aforementioned by Graham Sweeney 100-pound cup, the first running, open to yachts belonging to clubs of all nations. Entries to close at midnight, August, whatever date that was. 16th, is it? I can't exactly.
16th, I think.
16th. No time offered for tonnage. This is going to be first to finish. 3 vessels must enter to start for each prize above. So that was, as you probably most of you know, the 22nd of August, 1851, the first race around the Isle of Wight, which became known thereafter as the America's Cup. Hence, this date for the start of the pre-regatta, not the LVC, the pre-regatta, number 3. Remember, they had 2 previous ones, and one in Jeddah, one before that in Villanova in Spain, down the coast of Spain from Barcelona. So on the 22nd of August, AC match starts on the 12th of October, but on the 22nd of August is pre-regatta number 3. And then the LVC starts a few days, the Louis Vuitton Cup, the Challenger Selection Series, starts a few days after that. Okay, I hope we've cleared all that up. 100 Guinea Cup, not the 100-pound cup. No, David James. That is, it was originally called, as you saw in that poster, it was to be called the 100-pound cup. And it was the Americans that came back and, in fact, engraved on it, the 100 Guinea Cup. First of all, they're going to call it the Queen's Cup because they were feeling very august and very proud of themselves. But that they realized was not. So they engraved it as the 100 Guinea Cup because they mistakenly thought the pound and the guinea was the same. And, of course, the guinea is 1 pound in, 6 shillings? Or it was at the time. So it's the 100-pound cup. Originally, Bob Fisher and I have confirmed that as over and over again. The late, great Bob Fisher, another Fozy, been on this show any number of times. I'm with you, Tom. Not really very clear What's going on? Bill Haynes. Hello, Bill. Is there not somebody programming AI to take over flight control and scare? Yeah, they are, but they're not. It's not permitted, supposedly. The 100-pound cup. America won the cup, and that's how it got named the America's Cup. Ed Worley, of course, knows. Louis Vuitton. No, not the Louis Vuitton Cup. That starts after it's the third, not the 100 Guineas Cup, Chris Fury. The 100-pound cup was to be the proper original name. Our role as Fozy is to distract you and get you to digress. Okay, well, okay, enough of all that. Pre-regatta is starting on the 22nd of August, then the LBC, then the match there in October. Now, I'm going to go to this video, and I've got it down here. Hopefully I won't bring up any porn or something else. Julie, you'd think poorly of me, wouldn't you, if I brought up porn?
Yes, I would.
You should, too. Here is the link to the video that John has just given us. And this is the M32 Worlds. Double Olympic medalist and M32 fleet rookie Lijia Zhu shares her first day racing thrills with Team China 1 Ningbo. Dive into her debut experience. See if we can get some audio up of this. I don't know, maybe we've got it.
Today is the first day that I home and drive the boat. Used to sell laser radio, and I've done 3 Olympic Games, winning gold in 2012 and a bronze medal in 2008. I've done 2 or 3 days of training and finally into racing. And then 3 races in a row, I'm over the moon. And I never thought this would be possible for me to drive the M32, not to mention representing my country. And hopefully there can be more to come in future, and I'm gaining this confidence and doing more racing with M32 series. The boat is so exciting, the speed is so fast. Yeah, I really look forward to extend my sailing career in the professional circuit.
Okay. That's a nice video. Okay, this repeats, so I don't think we need to see that again, but
Good for
thank
her.
you. Yeah, good for her. I didn't know that was going on, John. Thanks for the link. And by the way, I also see in the comments from David James that the Rolex have done a recap of the China Sea Race that we covered extensively here on the channel, on the show. And he says it's too long to air here because it's 30 minutes long. I've seen it online, but I commend it to you. Rolex, just go to Rolex, to their YouTube channel. They've got lots of sailing and non-sailing stuff, and I commend it to you. Go Lily. Julie Aarons is saying the British are suffering the equivalent of the curse of the Bambino. Yeah, the Bambino. It's for a boxing reference, right?
It's wonderful to see Lily in her glory, and she seems relaxed and on top of things. And
She is.
And beautiful.
Speaking of Fozy.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of all that. Let's carry on here with the rest of the show. We're pretty close to the finish line. We're the last leg anyway. Now, I have a video that popped up just before I went to air. I grabbed it. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but Pip Hare is opining about 4 ways. She's getting asked, she says, by a lot of people, especially younger women, how to get involved in sailing. And, of course, she's involved at the top level, the highest levels here. And she is a terrific sailor and a terrific person, a lady. And let's have a look at this video.
We're quite often asked for tips on how to get into sailing, and it can seem like there's a lot of barriers in the way to any individual who kind of wakes up one morning and says, I'd like to give sailing a go. So there are some really kind of obvious routes, which are to go to a local sailing club, and look on the notice boards and see if anybody is looking for crew or there's any have a go sessions. But the other thing is, don't forget that there are lots and lots of incredible sailing schools out there that offer courses, both in dinghy sailing and in keelboat sailing and the cruising scheme, the RYA cruising scheme. So that's kind of the type of boats that you would go out overnight on, coast or ocean sailing. And I think definitely taking a course and learning is an incredible route into sailing, because it helps you. First of all, it gives you skills. So when you do go down to the sailing club afterwards, you know you have a set of skills. You can tell people what you can do. But the other thing is it kind of maybe demystifies some of the jargon around sailing. It kind of lifts the lid on it, and it lets you see what the nuts and bolts are. And that will allow you to understand what skills you already have that can help on a racetrack or in a delivery, or even helping somebody prepare their boat for the year. Because I can guarantee that you already have some of the skills that are relevant to being on a sailing boat, whether that's the ability to be calm under pressure, whether that's being organised, whether that's an attention to detail, or just a genuine love of being outside in the elements. And then finally, don't be afraid to be ambitious, to take opportunities, to dream about where you could go and what you could be, because that will drive your journey forwards, and that will mean that you are always literally looking over the horizon for what your next step in your sailing journey will be.
What do you think, Julia?
I think she's absolutely right.
I do too. And there's some comments here. First, get a book to learn the term. I'm not sure about that. Who said that? Who said that? Jeff Waller, World on Water on YouTube. First, buy a book and learn the terms, then go to a club. I think we get ourselves all wrapped up in the terminology and getting people convinced, Julia, that you've got to know the terms. Mm-hmm. I think getting to the club, that suggestion by Jeff Waller, just go to a club. And then I think Pip Hare's suggestion was excellent. This is how Dennis Conner got involved. He went to the club.
Yeah.
And to the marinas, all those boatyards and marinas around Shelter Island, there in San Diego. Good old Pip, Ted Ryman is saying. But Dennis, said, hey, can I help?
Yep.
And got put to work doing various things for Lowell North.
Yeah.
And Malin Burnham and tell me who, others in the San Diego area, and then got to go sail on their boats and got to crew, then carry on and on. Mm-hmm. KR the same way here in San Francisco, and I'm sure any number of you can relate the same way.
Me too.
You as well?
Yeah.
For me, it was being forced onto a boat to crew for my mom and dad because they said they couldn't afford a babysitter. Mm-hmm. And it's supposedly stuck up under the bow in a bassinet. Imagine if we capsized. It would be the best thing that happened to the world. I'd be gone.
No, you would be so light, you just float.
At an early age, I'd have been stuck under the deck and drowned as a toddler, not even. But seriously, I think sailing with my parents and even grandparents a little bit.
But a good friend, or your parents, or whoever. Anybody who would welcome you to do that.
And then the next best thing after that was having parents crew for me, my dad, and other good sailors crew for you. You learn more from, as Clark Chapin and, gosh, any number of people who grew up in that era, pre-coaches, before we had John Emmets to coach us and really make us superb.
Yeah.
Joe Holtzman would agree, just going sailing with good sailors. Look at the comments. I have friends who stashed their toddler forward of the mast on their Thistle during club racing. Well, Thistle at least didn't have a covered deck. Hang out at a club, Julie Aaron says. Ask if you can go for a ride and if you can crew. You acquire the yes, exactly, Julie. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
So Jeff Waller, I think that's another. Just go. Forget about the language. Oh, that's a rope? No, it's a line. Okay, I'll remember that's a line. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's that? That's the back corner. Oh, that's the clue. Okay. I didn't have a clue that's the clue. That's the tack? I thought tacking was when you tacked the boat.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's also the tack of the sail. Okay. That trailing edge of the sail, that's the leech. Oh, that's stuck on the back end, like a leech is sucking on the back end. That's the trailing edge of the sail. I mean, you figure it out yourself.
It was years before I learned that kind of language while I was sailing.
Holtzman says, my oldest daughter sailed, I guess he means, with me from 3 years on. Mm-hmm. Exactly. She was a good person. She probably still is. Is she still around, Joe? Joe's at almost, Julie, he's your age. He's an 80. He's in the mid-80s, I think. Great sailor. I went sailing with my dad, who was a bad sailor, but at least we went sailing. Bravo Zulu, Jonathan Frank. The comment of the day.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Julia,
being out in the water.
Well, and that's what Pip said, right? Just out in the, go down, get out of the bloody house, get off the iPad, and go out, as Pip said, out in the fresh air, go out in the elements, enjoy the day.
Yep.
That's what's fabulous about our sport. Yep. Joe saying that his daughter Karen lives in beautiful Boise, Idaho, and is still interested in sailing. Get her on the show. We'll have her talk about you, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. Pip Hare, thank you very much. And I just loved this photo.
Oh, yes.
It's a photo
fabulous.
that Michael Timon, who's another Fozies who's been following the show on and off for years, one of the original followers, and on one of the sailing websites, their Facebook page, I guess. So via Facebook, that's from Michael Timon, Michael Timon, who's an American. You could say he dropped the second N off his name, or somebody did at some point.
It's a great picture.
Isn't that a beautiful shot? Just love it. And there's Andrew, there's Dolly DeVola saying, sailors raise sailors, it's attracting non-sailors to grow the sport. Nice pick, rail in the water. Totally agree. Okay, what a great group we have on here, Julia. So great, I'm not even going to say that the non-sailing CEO has to go. Everybody knows that, and one hears he's going, so one can only hope. But let's get back to more important things. Speaking of, it's not an acronym. What do you call when you take the first letters of something that does not spell a word? There's another word for that. Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, WTF.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. They're all drinking now because I finally mentioned that. By the way, Julie, I did not mention the non-sailing CEO on Friday's show on purpose so that these guys couldn't drink. They, I'm sure, drank anyway. The first one. What's the? This is the guy in the tent. What the frig? What the hell? My banjo is broken beyond repair. Oh well, guess I'll have to unpack my accordion. I don't know why you all send these bloody jokes about banjos and accordions.
Yes, you do.
They send them all the time.
Yes.
This one came from Worley. Worley. Oops, the graphics department screwed that up, Ed. Sorry. Worley. He deserves it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably did that on purpose. Yeah.
Clark Chapin, I still sail with my dad. He's permanently stuck in my head. The Chapin family sailed for 3 generations. Clark's beloved late great dad, his dad sailed Commodore of our club, Gordon Chapin, and his mother was on the race committee boat for every race. She was the chief scorer. Betty Chapin, and I ran several national championships and always took Betty on the boat with me as my scorer. She was fabulous. So you had Gordon Chapin sailing with Clark, sailing with their son Bill, Clark and his son Bill, and terrific stuff.
And Bill has a son?
Bill does, and they're living just across the bay over in Alameda.
Oh.
And if the if the accordion's broken, he'll unpack the bagpipes. The bagpipes. Okay, Worley. We'll change his name to Worley. This one's good. So then this little sailor dude whips out a can of spinach. This crazy music starts playing. Da 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 da. And well, just look at this place. She's saying to the cop. Joe Holtzman agreeing that Betty Chapin was the greatest, Clark's dad. Yep. She was indeed. That came from Greg Phillips down in Australia. Thank you, Greg. And he also sent this one in. Stop killing ducks to make duct tape. I don't know if we've aired that before, Julia, but I thought in honor of all this madness that's going on with the campus, I mean, these stupid people. Okay, I understand the support for the Palestinian folks who are in the way of this war, both, and they're getting killed by Hamas and they're getting killed by the Israelis, and their collateral damage, which is a horrible way to refer to human suffering and damage and loss of life because of war. But this war is causing way less collateral damage because the Israelis are so bloody careful than any war in the passed by all the statistics, but that's beside the point. How can people in this country who don't know their proverbial, as we said earlier, their you-know-what from their ankle about what's going, how can the gay community, how is the so-called queers for Hamas or Palestine, be supporting them in these college campuses that they read that like this reminds me of this lady who stopped killing ducks. Okay, that's a meme sign. But how can they be if they ended up in Gaza or in any of these other countries, they'd be pushed off the top of a building, they'd be gone. It's astonishing. That's sad. That war is sad. All wars are sad. And people who thinks that you got to stop killing ducks to make duct tape, okay, that's just a meme for this rant of mine. Got to go, Fritz Mueller is saying. Thanks, Tom and Julia. Good to have you back. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whipped cream and other delights. Steve Groover. Now, you know what that reference is, Julia?
No.
Whipped cream and other delights. That was a title from, tell me if I'm wrong, Steve Groover, that was the title of a Herb Alpert album and the Tijuana Brass.
Oh, it was.
That was the title of one of their albums from memory. Our little garage band played a lot of Tijuana Brass. Herb Alpert, Chris Fury knows that. Okay, we move on. Greg Phillips, thank you for that. Stop killing ducks to make duct tape. By the way, it was the Tijuana Brass,
right?
Not the Tijuana Brass.
That's correct.
And do you know the difference? People, what's the name of the town south of the border, just south of San Diego?
Tijuana.
No.
Tijuana.
Tijuana.
Yep.
Tijuana. Tijuana.
Yeah.
There's no TIA.
No.
Which means aunt, or Tio is uncle, tant is Tia, aunt Tia. There is no A in that first syllable.
That. Yeah.
It's Tijuana.
Yeah.
There is, however, and what is confusing for people, is there's a Tijuana River between Tijuana and San Diego, right on the border, Tijuana River, which runs in there. And that confuses people. Great album cover. Yes, it was a great album cover, and you know why? These guys all liked there was a siren, a sexual siren. Huh? Do that again. On the cover of that album. Yeah. Spanish Illustrated, Clark Chapin. Okay, another great show. Thanks. Tijuana Brass is Aussie rhyming slang. Okay. Finally, Ted Ryman sent in one that was clean. The first time Ted's ever sent a clean one in. That from memory, probably not, but Ryman sent this one in, and the guys, he finally gets a message in a bottle. Speaking of songs, Mexico needs to buy a vowel for Tijuana or Banero. By the way, Banero sent me some great photos from a regatta that he shot. He shoots, what a blessed soul he is for shooting pictures for all these clubs in the Long Island. I like the Stearman on the album cover. Frank they're back on that. The gal on whipped cream cover grew up close to me, Stingray said. What an awesome photo of her. The music is just so awesome. Quit comparing these protesters to those that I wasn't comparing them to those of the 60s. We were protesting a real war that was unwinnable. I agree, Julia. I'm comparing those protesters to why would they ever support a culture, a community that would throw them to their death. Mm-hmm. Okay, enough of that. Thank you, Ted Ryman, for that. Gets us, thankfully, to the finish line. We're an hour and 43 minutes in, and Julia, your witness.
Yes, if you have any crazy friends, be sure and ask them to.
Oh, come on.
Share.
They don't have to be crazy to come on and watch this show.
No, but it helps.
Maybe. Maybe it does. They just have to have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
The media is making the comparison. Yeah, Julie, but the media, I mean, come on, don't put any faith in the media. LFNS, yeah, I'm with you, Rick Banner. LFNS, like, follow, and share. Comments are welcome, even in replay. And if you're not a Fozy who is a regular watcher, if you're not a Fozy who's been on the show, but if you're a Fozy because you are a patron via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, we especially appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed. It keeps us in our studio, which incrementally, step by, look at this. You see this device with all these blinking lights on it?
Yeah.
That's a new device which allowed us to play that video that John Emmett sent during the show easily. Is the croutoning almost over for today? Yes, indeed, Stingray. It is. You don't have to be crazy to watch. We will train you. Bill Haynes in North Texas, where everybody's a little crazy,
Yeah.
and maybe one of the sanest states in the country too these days. Thanks to everybody who gave us video and audio and images for today's show. Julia, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I enjoyed today's show. I'm glad to be back, and I think the whole world has a lot to do.
We are glad to have you back. And speaking of Halifax's, Maura Stevens checking in. I haven't seen her name up today, but she is another wonderful show. Thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. You too, Maura. We're going to be visiting you at least vicariously when SailGP is up your way here in a couple weeks' time. Do you have to be toasted to be a croutonic viewer? Thanks, Jonathan Frank. It's good to be back, and I got through the show without coughing more than maybe once or twice, and we hope that's the end of that. Julia, when did you test negative for the first time? Today, this morning, right?
Oh, no, I did 2 days ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're over it. We're glad to be back. We hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week. And if you can, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.